My friends are awesome, the podcast. So I should ask you about that thing on your head, right?
It's your talk show. It's not mine. You can ask
Actually,
whatever you
if
like.
it's up to me, I'm just not gonna even. I'm not gonna.
Not even gonna...
I already mentioned it, but yeah, that's very nice. I have the same one, but in a different
Oh
color.
yeah, you
Actually,
do.
yeah, it's in the
Ah.
closet over here. It's
Oh,
in
okay,
the
okay.
closet. Yeah.
Yeah. Show me. Another time. Another time. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome Takuma Tanaka-san
Hi.
to the My Friends Are Awesome, the podcast. That's the title. The podcast is in the title with the parentheses. It's really important to
Yes.
me that you
Thank
know
you.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm aware. I'm aware. Thank you.
To people who are not aware, Takuma and I go way, way, way back to the year 2001.
What?
No,
Two?
no, no.
3?
2002 or 3.
Way back many centuries ago. Yes.
Not long after the Bible began. That's some Andrew Lloyd Webber, right? What was that? What was that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for capturing.
What was the show though?
Jesus
Joseph and the
Christ Superstar?
Technicolor. No, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah.
Takuma and I were in an a cappella group together. We were really, really good friends all throughout high school. We performed together countless times. We stayed over at each other's houses all the time. We went out drinking a lot, even though we weren't supposed to. Yeah, and you've just been a person that's been always, we've been always orbiting each other in our
Yeah.
lives. And I thought, it'd be great to have you on this podcast.
Thank you so much. I know this is like the fourth
It's the
episode.
third. Yeah, it's the third
This is
one.
third. So
Yeah.
to be picked as the third person, third most awesome
Yeah.
friend. A little bittersweet. I
Yeah.
thought I would be the first one, but yeah, I mean that it is what it is. So I just have to accept.
I
the
mean,
fact
it's better
that
than fourth.
it's better than the fourth. Yeah. So whoever is the next person really is sour.
You're
right
on
now.
the podium at least.
Yeah.
It's bronze,
I
but
have
you're
the
there.
bronze medal for the awesome friend. Yeah.
So-
Thank you. I'll do best. I'll do my best next time. Yeah. I'll do better.
Well, I think you're the type of person one of the few people that I know that does their best at everything that they do since high school. I know that's something that you can't say about yourself going around. I'm like, I do my best at everything that I do. But you really are.
Got it?
You really put 110% into everything
Huh.
that you're doing. And there's like a few things that you're doing now that I'd love to talk to you about today. But now it's become this kind of tradition on this podcast, even though it's only the third episode, where I ask ChatGPT to write a biography about the person.
No.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read ChatGPT's, and sometimes they pull information from strange corners of the internet.
What?
So I'm going to read it and
It's crazy.
yeah, let's
Okay.
and let me know if there's anything that's, strange or accurate or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd be
Okay.
interested.
So here it goes. Takuma Tanaka is a renowned drag performer based in Singapore, known for pushing the boundaries of artistry and self-expression. Originally hailing from Japan, Takuma's unique blend of Eastern and Western influences has captivated audience both locally and internationally. His bold and captivating performances, characterized by elaborate costumes, stunning makeup, and powerful storytelling, have made him a leading figure in Singapore's drag scene. Takuma's journey into drag began as a means of self-discovery and a creative outlet for his passion for fashion, performance, and identity. Over the years, he has become celebrated for his ability to challenge societal norms while embracing the fluidity of gender and cultural fusion. His performances are a mesmerizing mix of theatricality and emotional depth. often
Wow.
incorporating traditional Japanese aesthetics with contemporary drag elements. And last section. In addition to performing, Takuma has played a pivotal role in advocating for the LGBTQ plus visibility and acceptance in Singapore, where the community continues to navigate complex social dynamics. Through his artistry and activism, Takuma Tanaka not only carved out a space for himself, but also contributed significantly to the broader conversation around inclusivity and the power of self-expression. Whether dazzling on stage or speaking out for change, Takuma is an influential and inspiring figure in the world of drag.
Okay,
I think that we don't need to talk about anything now. That's just like it's summed up. It's summed up everything. Well,
that
I'll
is
see you next time.
yeah. Thank you. Tune in for the next episode.
Yeah, yeah.
That is crazy.
It's pretty
That
crazy.
is crazy.
Oh, what's crazy for you? What I mean, is it like way off or is it
No, no,
spot
no.
on or
I I think it's crazy how they, as in ChatGPT,
mm,
have captured something really, really accurately,
mm,
right? Like some things like, oh, I do drag in Singapore. Like,
yeah,
yeah, okay, my social media presence will have, tags that's, like Singapore, locations in
mm,
Singapore. So
mm, mm,
it's an easy guess, but to sort of sum that up and say, okay, Takuma is a drag artist in Singapore, and then put that as a first sentence is like is eerily accurate, and obviously
yeah,
it is accurate, but
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
eerily accurate.
yeah.
And then I guess the other thing is the whole LGBTQ sort of standing up for the rights things. I think that's like far fetched. I don't
Yeah.
think that. I mean, that's not my main job. So
That's like your
it's
main job.
really things that I, yeah. It's not
Yeah,
my
yeah.
it's my gay job, not my day job. So to say. um. So
I'm
like
gonna use that
it's
one. That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Feel free to use it. It's crazy how I think ChatGPT takes things from social media. I think that's where like
Mm,
a lot
mm,
of
mm,
my
mm.
presence is,
Yeah,
and then sort of sums it up as my character. Like I
yeah.
have a day job, but obviously I don't put that on the internet, so
Right,
that's like nowhere to be seen, right? So
right,
that's quite
right.
a interesting observation.
Yeah, it says a lot about how these algorithms work. I mean, obviously, if the information isn't on the internet, then it doesn't get picked up. So, according to the internet, or people who's interact with you on social media and through the internet, they know you as this summary, which
That's
is
crazy.
but also is what's crazy is that we can engineer that too, right?
Yeah,
We're able to do that these days. So it's almost like a Takuma Tanaka drag avatar, you know.
yeah. I mean, imagine if you kept on putting, like great music on your social media. People will really think that you're a great musician,
Right, right. Yeah,
right?
I think I'll keep trying my best, as long as I'll always be thinking of you every release going forward
Yeah,
if it'll
yeah.
pass the Takuma test,
Thank
you
you,
know.
thank you, thank you.
But so okay, so that's the social media, kind of outward facing you.
Sure,
But yeah, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about, where you're from and how you ended up where you are now and
sure.
and maybe we can sprinkle in some of our shenanigans throughout that. But yeah.
Sure. So I was born in Japan. I grew up mostly in Japan. Until third grade, I just went to a regular Japanese school, did the juken thing, like destined to sort of go to like nice, good sort of Japanese schools, like local
Mm,
Japanese schools,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like the
mm, mm,
chugakko, koko, and daigaku. And then took a wild turn when my parents decided to send me to Australia.
mm,
Well, my mom came with me, but so I was in Australia from fourth grade to fifth grade. Yeah, 2 years. Learned English there. Um, and then when I came back to Japan, I was sixth grade, and in Japan, as we all know, like that's like the year for juken, which is a examination for middle school.
mm, mm,
And
mm.
I was literally 2 years behind everybody else, and
Right,
I could not catch up to the
right,
intensity of Japanese middle school examination. So
right.
I wanted to sort of continue learning English as well, or
Mhm,
sort of practicing my English. So then, thankfully, my parents put me in a international school in Kobe. Um, And then, obviously loved it, and I stayed there until graduation, high school graduation. That's
Right.
when we met, Kris and I.
Right.
I think you joined
Freshman year of
freshman
high
year. Okay,
school,
yeah,
and you were
right,
there
right.
from sixth grade.
I was there from sixth grade, so I was there like 2.5 years earlier than I
Mm,
was.
mm.
Um, so graduated high school. We can talk all about high school, but it was just it was a emotional roller coaster, right? I mean, like it was fun and it was like depressing at
I
one
think
point. It
that's
was
I think that's high school for most people,
yeah, it is
or
crazy.
at
It's
least
like
for theater kids like us. Like, oh my God,
theatrical, theatrical,
everything's so
dramatic kids like
emotional.
us. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew out of it obviously
Hmm.
kind of halfway through.
Says
Went to
the
a
drag
university.
queen.
I'm using it. I'm using
Right, right.
that
You're
to
channeling the
channeling
drama.
it,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
a theater person. Like I'm
yeah.
channeling it. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
um, yeah, yeah. Graduated high school. Went to university in Tokyo.
Mm,
Um, and then while I was there in a university in Tokyo, I had a chance to study abroad, and I picked Singapore. Really liked it. I made some of my really good friends here in Singapore when I was doing a study abroad. Came back to finish my Japanese university, and then luckily I got a job in Singapore. That was 2012.
I see.
So
Uh,
since then, I've
just out of curiosity,
yeah.
what were the options for study abroad, and why did you choose Singapore?
Uh,
I still haven't been after all
right,
these years.
right.
Yeah, just
Never too late. You can
that's true. That's
you
true.
can always study abroad.
I was in the airport once when I was like 12 or something. That's about it.
Wait, what you mean? Like you never went abroad?
No, no, I never went to Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, what? Okay, Singapore. Now, please come. Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, Options were really everywhere. I think my
Mm,
university was really sort of putting a lot of effort in the sort of the options of study abroad. So there was Americas, there was like Europe, there was Asia, there was all these places. But the only English speaking country that offered 2-year program was Singapore.
mm.
So
Okay.
other universities that offered 2-year program was like China,
Mm,
Taiwan,
mm, mm.
maybe some few more places, but predominantly non-English speaking countries. And
Mhm,
I wanted
mhm.
to continue learning English, so
Mm, mm,
that's
mm,
why I
mm,
chose
mm, mm.
Singapore. But really by chance, kind of.
Yeah. It's so funny how, sometimes these huge turns in our lives are just are set into motion by these really arbitrary
Mm.
like, oh, this Singapore has a 2-year study abroad program, so yeah, okay, I'll go there. And now, I mean, now you have a life there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's so funny. For me, I live in, you've visited me multiple times in Tokyo and in Shimokitazawa. But when I first came to Tokyo, uh, and I was teaching English,
Mm.
uh, my English school, the first English school I taught in Tokyo was in Shimokita, and
Oh.
I didn't even know about Shimokitazawa at the time.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, what's Shimokitazawa? And now I'm, raising a baby here.
Yeah.
It's
Now
kind of,
you're like the champ of Shimokitazawa.
yeah, maybe not chimp, but
Chimp.
maybe not, yeah,
Chimp.
almost champ.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, okay, and then so you came back to Japan, finished off your studies, and then
Yeah.
you started working in
Yeah. And also that was
Singapore.
by chance as well. Like
Hmm.
as glorified as you sort of explained about me in the beginning, I was so uninterested in job hunting. You know how Japan is, right? Like in like 2 seconds after you join university, people are doing study, like job hunting. Like they are
Mm,
getting
mm, mm,
jobs in
mm,
their
mm,
10th
mm,
second
mm,
in their
mm,
university. Like
mm.
they're writing applications while they are entering university, right? Like
Right.
it's crazy how job hunting sort of culture is in Japan in general.
Mm.
Um, and I was doing none of that until my fifth year. Right, first
Right.
2 years
Right.
I was just like partying and like just going to school and doing whatever, and then 2 years, the third year and the fourth
Yeah.
year, I was in Singapore just studying
Mm.
my ass off. Can I swear here, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just say
Fuck.
whatever.
Okay,
There.
sure.
There.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. um, yeah. So when I came back as the fifth year, all my
Yeah.
cohorts have graduated,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
My batchmates have graduated, and
Right,
then
right.
I had no friends, so I didn't have much of a guidance as to like
You're the
what.
old guy that was like hanging around
Yeah,
campus.
I'm like this
The
old
freshmen are
man.
like, yeah, avoid that guy.
He's been away for 2 years and he suddenly came back.
He sits all day in the cafeteria. I don't know what he does.
So like I was, and then generally I was just
Yeah.
really disinterested in the whole study not study abroad
Job
the
hunting.
shukatsu sort
Yeah.
of culture. So I was just
Mm,
not
mm,
doing
mm,
it at
mm.
all. Like I was
Yeah.
still studying and I was like doing this, doing that, not doing really nothing in Japan once I came back. Um I think it was like 3 months before I graduated.
Hmm.
My mom was like, I think you need to get a job. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's true. Like, well, what was I gonna do after
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Also it was like the year of earthquake, so it was just like
Oh, right.
everything was everywhere, right? Like it was
Right.
just chaotic. That
Right. Right.
that
Right. Right.
March was just really chaotic. And
Yeah. Yeah. That was a
so
crazy time.
that was
Mm.
really crazy time, right? Like I was busy with like my acapella CCA. I was busy with just living life after the earthquake. But yeah, I mean, I had to get a job, I think,
Mm.
as one does. So yeah, I just randomly stumbled upon this job because
Mm.
my senpai was like recommending me.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
she was like,
Mm.
"Oh, you should come to Singapore and like work for this company." I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
okay." Like
Mm.
I'll
Mm.
just
Mm.
apply because she said let's apply.
It's,
um,
again, those
and
typical.
12 years later, I'm still in the same
Yeah,
company,
that's
which is mad.
amazing.
Which is
I mean,
mad.
we I guess yeah, we don't need to talk about the company names or whatever because
Yeah,
it's not too important. But can we talk about like what kind of business you're in, what kind
sure.
of work you do?
So I work in finance, which
Right.
is the most potentially boring thing to do. I had no finance background. I didn't take any finance classes.
Hmm.
I like it's just so opposite of who I think I am in terms
Right.
of like the creative outlet, blah blah blah.
Right. 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 Right.
But surprisingly, it is where you're challenged with a lot of problems and you need to be
Hmm.
creative and you also need
Mm-hmm.
to have like soft skills like interpersonal
Of
skills to
course.
sort
Of
of get
course.
by.
Yeah.
As with many companies,
Yeah.
but just kind of
Is that what it's called? Sorry. They say there are no dumb questions, but I'm just known for asking the dumbest fucking questions.
yeah. I know,
Yeah.
I know, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I I think it's a good time to maybe say goodbye and we'll catch up another time. No,
Thanks.
soft skills. I haven't heard that term
Oh, really?
before. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are like how to type. とか
Ah,
do I
okay.
know about finance? It's like hard skills, and soft skills are like interpersonal skills or like teamwork or like empathy. These skills that are intangible. It's qualitative. That sort
Wow.
of you have to succeed in different places.
That's interesting that that's called soft and typing is called hard.
Yeah, yeah. I have both. I have both
You have both.
soft and hard.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
strong in both. Yeah.
I'm.
Uh, mhm.
Anyways, yeah. So that's like my last 12 years, basically, just working in
Right.
finance
So,
and
I
mm,
think we've briefly talked about this last time I saw you, but
mm,
this kind of this contrast between your day job and your
mm.
gay job. See, I told you I would use it.
That was fast.
No, yeah, no, I'm just
Truly,
uh,
yeah.
it's so polar. It's a polar opposite of each other, and that's you're. I think you're the closest to a superhero out of all of my friends. I
Oh
mean, if
my
you look at it,
god.
right? If you look at it, the Superman was worked in the newspaper, right? He worked at the Daily Bugle, or I think that's what it was called. He was a writer for a newspaper,
Mm,
right? And he had glasses.
mm.
And then when he took him off, it was like, oh, Superman. But then when he put him on, it was like, oh, who are you?
Wow, that's a nice and no. I never thought of that thought of
But
it that way. So thank you.
there's also a Batman analogy there too, because at night you go out in a costume and you do these,
Wow,
shows. So
keep on coming. Wow.
yeah, no, I just,
That's a, that's a that's a really nice way of sort of framing who I am, sort of the duality of who I am. That's really very, very kind.
yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know a lot of people who are able to keep both. You know, I know a lot of people who are on one side of the spectrum
Yeah.
or the other, who are just totally in the creative field, and just doing that,
Mm, mm,
living a rather chaotic lives as a lot of artists and creatives do.
mm,
And then the other side is, you know, quite stable in terms of income and just the flow of the year, you know, because things are
mm,
broken down into quarters and um, deadlines and things like that.
mm.
But yeah, not a lot of people who straddle both. And I wanted to kind of, you know, ask you about that because
Yeah.
it's such an interesting mix.
Yeah. So maybe I can start from like when I started doing drag.
Yeah, yeah.
As you know, like you know I like to dress up
Mm,
and sort of yeah dress up. Especially for Halloween. Like I used to really like. I mean, I still do, but and it's such a perfect season. Like we're recording
hmm.
this the week of the Halloween
Oh
weekend, so
yeah,
I'm
that's
like
right. That's right. Yeah.
like it's crazy. That's why I took week off. Like I'm off work to work on my Halloween costumes, but
Wow, that's
that's
dedication. So
that's for
you're
another time.
preparing. I saw somewhere that you make all of your costumes.
We try to make a
You
lot,
yeah.
yeah. We don't make everything, but we
Mm,
try to make a lot of the prominent pieces. Anyways,
mm,
so
mm,
yeah, everything started with Halloween. Like I liked Halloween. I always just like dressing up and going out for Halloween. So I used to do that like almost every year since I moved to Singapore. And when I got together with my partner, um, we realized that we both like Halloween.
mm,
Like we were always dressing up sort of individually when we were both single. So we're like, oh my god, we should do a some sort of a costume together, like some couple costume. And we didn't want to make it like cringy. Like we wanted to make it something that's memorable and
mm, mm, mm.
very sort of high fashion, but also camp and everything sort of around there.
Yeah.
So that's how we started sort of doing
You didn't want to
drag.
do like salt and pepper shakers
Uh, unless an
yeah.
actual salt or pepper is coming out of our heads,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's the commitment that I would go for if I were to
Right,
go.
right, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
like I shake and like all these like powders coming out. That would be camp, but
I,
nothing
but yeah,
nothing
now
less than
I
that.
remember this is how this was kind of the costumes were like a gateway into this the drag.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember you were so very and I saw pictures of amazing costumes that you did
Thank you.
over the years. Um,
Yeah.
any note what are the what are the notable ones for
Oh,
you?
okay. So I think the first year we got together to do Halloween together, we did Alfred Hitchcock the Birds costume, where we had like a 1960s lady outfit, like a jacket and a pencil skirt, and then
Hmm.
we just attached a bunch of like birds, dead birds, not dead birds, fake
Right,
birds
right, right.
on ourselves, like
Yeah,
crows and stuff. So
yeah,
we
yeah,
looked
yeah.
like we were getting eaten and getting
Right.
attacked by birds. And it's a, I mean, it's a, it's an inspiration from Barbie's Alfred Hitchcock limited edition Barbie, where she was in a costume and she had birds, and that was the inspiration for it.
Really?
We kind of mimic that,
I
but
mean, I
obviously
didn't
I'd
know
like to
that
do
that was a thing.
yeah. They had a
Like
limited
Alfred
edition Barbie.
Hitchcock's The Birds, Barbie.
Barbie, yeah, yeah. So that
Okay.
was one of my favorites.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
that sits at the top of my
Yeah,
favorites.
that sounds I mean,
Yeah,
I remember I remember the pictures. Yeah, those were great. I'd love
yeah.
for you to send me those pictures
Oh yeah, sure,
later.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, I think sort of touching on that duality or the thing, right? Like it really the more I started sort of dwelling into drag,
Hmm.
the more serious it became and more sort of permanent or
Mm,
consistent it became in my day-to-day life.
mm.
I really had to drop things like cleanliness of my house has definitely dropped from my plate. I was just quick wipe just now. Like I was like madly
Yeah,
wiping
yeah.
this stuff. Like I'm just pushing everything away. It
Yeah,
looks
yeah, yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
but
It looks very
it's a
nice. Yeah.
mess here.
Mm,
That has gone out the window. Some of the social life stuff really
mm,
has gone out the window. Like we are like as drag queens, we tend to be a bit more social. We go out
Sure.
in costumes and stuff, but we have to say no to when we are busy on
Mm,
weekends making
mm,
stuff because
mm,
we don't have time. Like my partner and I don't have time during the day to do things
mm,
for
mm,
most of the
mm,
time.
mm.
So a lot of times when we have creative discussions or actually working on things like
Yeah.
by hand, it is usually the weekend. And when we have something on soon, and then we have to say no. Like if there's a birthday party, we'll say, okay, we'll go for 2 hours, and we have to go home. Or
Wow.
like we'll get invited to something, and we're like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're
Well,
really busy.
earlier when I mentioned that when you do something, you really give it 110%, and you kind of made a weird face, like, oh, I don't know about that. That sounds like exactly what I was talking about because
Mm,
that's that's a high level of commitment.
yeah, and I think we put ourselves. I mean, I don't want to be too braggy about what I do, but
Hmm.
I think we as a drag queen duo, my partner
Mm.
and I, have come to a point where we can't step down from the quality that we're giving.
Right, right.
And we've been told by this by
Mm,
a very senior, very sort of respected drag queen in this community in
mm,
Singapore.
mm, 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 mm.
She said, "Y'all, y'all have you can't turn back now. Like y'all have been producing and churning out looks and performances that are of a certain standard.
Yeah,
That there is no lowering of that level.
yeah,
There
yeah,
is
yeah,
no
yeah,
lowering."
for sure.
And we took that lightly when we were told. We're like, no,
Yeah, yeah,
honey.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we feel it. We're like, oh my god, like
Her words
I'm
just like
spending.
echoing in your
Yeah,
brain as you
yeah,
as you're like making a new costume. It's
yeah.
like
We're like,
you
oh my
can't
god,
go back.
we can't go back. No turning back. It's true. Like it
Yeah,
haunts us, but it pushes us, and it is a driving force. Not
yeah.
a negative one. It's just a
No, no,
driving
for
factor
sure,
to
for
like
sure.
to keep on doing the best of what we do.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, I think you have that, enough in yourself, but also to when someone says something like that, a phrase like that, or if you, for example, like, I'm doing a lot of things right now that are on a deadline, which I didn't have a lot in my life in
Mm,
with creative work. But it actually helps so much because it puts a really good amount of pressure, you know,
mm.
to whether I like it or not, it's going out on Monday, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course
The whip behind your
yeah,
ass
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. I mean,
it feels good sometimes.
it always feels good, but um, yeah, yeah, it's just about this uh, kind of trading. I was talking to my previous, podcast guest about it, but it leaves, when you're on a schedule
Yep.
like this, it takes a lot of thinking time out of the equation. And I realized I had way too much time to think
Mm.
and overthink about things, and now, especially now, because I have a kid as well, it's like, okay, there's like 10, like 5 minutes is just, if you have 5 minutes, it's like you could finish washing the dishes in the sink, or you could prepare the base of the tomato sauce for the pasta we're gonna make, like, or whatever, or at least cut the
Yeah.
vegetables, right? Like 5 minutes is an eternity.
Oh my god.
So I'm kind of thinking that in those kind of time scales, right? So for in my creative endeavors, it's great because I just have to put it out. And then I'll look
Yeah.
back at them and I'll be like, okay, well, this one was better than the other. But I think that's another thing about another thing that's changed for me, working on this kind of creative output, is that it's a body of work, right? It's like whatever you put out is not the last defining thing that's gonna, you're gonna be remembered for, if at all.
Yep.
It's you just gotta keep putting things out, and it becomes a
Yeah.
part of this whole body of work. And maybe you can relate to that in a way, because it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, we have to top that, we have to top that. Maybe you have that feeling, but it's also like, well, it's adding to this body of work,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you guys
And,
are amassing.
and maybe like I wanted to ask you actually,
Mm.
do you think so time, the limitation or
Mm,
limitation of time or deadline gets us going, right? Because we have to. That's one thing, but
mm,
also because that puts us into this sort of driver mode, right?
mm-hmm,
But do you think also procrastination sometimes helps you like get like things done? Because
mm,
you might have months. Like I know Halloween is every year. It's it's at the end of October, but like I am
yeah.
panicking this week to like get shit
Mm,
done.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
yes, of course I could have worked on earlier, but
mm,
it just at that point it just wasn't enough. And then now like I'm just churning out ideas and executing and everything. And it's like, okay, well, actually procrastination did help me a little. Is helping me a little to get it done. Um and I think on a certain level, I think it helps you be better at what you do.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for both, right? I've seen a lot of things, anecdotal, evidence of, well, I work better under pressure and I'm more creative under pressure but
Mm.
I think I've seen some stuff that or read some stuff that's where it's not necessarily you become more creative, but
Oh,
it's just that type of person, who are
yeah,
not able to pre-plan pre-plan
right.
things.
Yeah,
But at the
yeah,
same time, you have both. And
yeah. Mm.
we going back to your work, but you couldn't do that with your day job, right?
Mm.
How you treat your, gay job. Uh, and maybe there's something about super creative work that
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe there's something there that pressure, and they say, what pressure makes diamonds or whatever the phrase is,
Mm.
right? But like, maybe there's something there. Maybe when you're in your creative half of the brain, uh, you can't really set a schedule to be
Right.
creative, right? But
Yeah.
then some people say you can, or the best that you can do is sit down every day at the same time and see if creativity visits you, and if
Mm.
that day
Okay.
it visits you, that's great. If that day it doesn't, then
Mm.
that's fine. You just go
I mean,
on. But
like, I feel like I'm painting myself to be such a procrastinator saying it, but
mm,
actually, I guess if look at myself objectively, constantly I'm thinking about things. Like, constantly I'm thinking about what's next. Right now, I'm thinking only about Halloween, but like, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, I was thinking about different things,
mm-hmm,
and it's always on my mind. I am
mm,
always, almost always, like, beside the time that I'm like at work and
mm,
everything,
mm, mm, mm,
or even even when I'm at work, I am constantly thinking about what's better, what's good, what I can do, what is a good idea, what can I
mm,
sort of string my thoughts on.
mm,
So in a way, I am almost constantly brainstorming,
mm,
but sort of putting that ingredients that sort of in my head into
mm,
that pressure cooker and actually delivering
mm,
things
mm,
tends
mm,
to be sort of always towards the end of the deadline. But still, like I
yeah.
think if I give myself a little bit of credit, I think I am always constantly sort of thinking about it.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm similar to you in that sense, where
Sure.
I'm always thinking about, what I can do or
Mm.
what I can do differently this week, or what can I do on with this next project. And uh but yeah, the actual sitting down and putting in the time is usually quite close
Mm.
to the deadline. I guess that's just how it goes.
Yeah, 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 and it's okay, and we don't know if you were you or I were able to create the same level of output if we had done the same thing 2 weeks ago, right? If
Sure.
if I
You mean
had sat
level
down,
as in quality?
yeah, the
Mm-mm,
quality, yeah, quality, yeah, yeah, yeah.
mm-mm.
Like if I had sat down 2 weeks ago and started sort of making something, would I have been able to make the same thing? Yeah, maybe. Maybe we don't know. But
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the creativity is an interesting thing. I am I do kind of lean towards this belief that it's not really in us, but it's out there, and
Mm,
that we're able to channel it at specific times. And if you're in touch with it more often, it's almost like your bandwidth for downloading creativity gets wider, or
mm.
faster. And
Okay.
so I believe that everybody is capable. Some people think that not everybody is creative, but I think it's
Mm.
the way to think about it is more like some people are better equipped at downloading creativity, while others haven't had a lot of experience downloading creativity, or
Wow.
their their channels really narrow. It's kind of how I like to look at it.
Wow. Okay.
Because I
That's
feel
an
like
interesting.
sorry to cut you off, but because I feel like when you get an idea, it's not really. I don't feel like it really comes from inside you. It's like
Okay.
these
Okay.
maybe some ideas, some technical things, but oftentimes kind of the ideas that uh, are connected to something beautiful in terms of, I guess in your case it's maybe like a beautiful stitch or a coloring or layering, or or balance of an
Mhm.
outfit, or for me it might be lyrics and melody and things like that. Oftentimes those kind of beautiful moments really just appear. It's not like, okay, A plus B equals C, now it's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, this thing kind of fell into my head. Let me put it down before it. Let me write it
Mhm.
down, or let me sing it into my voice memo, or let me just do something to get it down, because it's like it's almost like it was given
Mhm.
and it's gonna go away unless I put it down. But does that ring any bells? Do you have any
Yeah.
similar experiences like that?
um, uh, in different facets of
Mm,
sort of what I do on the creative side, I
hmm
think that applies. Um, so as part of being a drag queen, we perform, and choreography is like something that I could kind of I am in charge of
mm, mm,
for
mm,
ourselves usually, and all that is I it like it is so true to the T what you
mm,
said. Like
mm,
something pops up in my head and I'm like, oh, that's a good choreography.
mm,
It The only thing is that I can't write it down. I can't record it as well.
mhm, mhm.
So I just have to like remember it. But
Wow.
same thing. Like it
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
and you're like, oh, that's a nice move.
yeah,
And I have to like somehow like verbalize it. So I'll
yeah.
just put it in like a word memo, like move, hip, left, arm up.
Why don't you can't you
Like I'm
get
in
it
a
on video?
bus or like I'm at
Oh, okay,
work or like
okay.
I'm in a place where I'm not able to record myself. Usually that's the case, right? Like
Do it
I'm
in the
just thinking
bus.
about it.
You're in the bus going like, "Oh, excuse me."
Sorry. I just have to record this.
It looks like you'd be like the main character out of like a 90s like dance movie where they're practicing their moves on the bus, or like in the office, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry."
And like grandma's next to you, like,
Yeah.
oh. That's so,
Right.
so anyway,
Yeah.
that's really that I completely feel you on that. Like it has
Mm.
to be recorded because otherwise it's just everything just kind of goes in and out and
Yeah.
in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Or I
that
just have low memory.
no, I think that's something that's shared with a lot of people who engage in creative, work, or
Mm,
or creative
mm.
activities. But it almost feels like, have you ever had a dream uh,
No.
that you were so sure was real? What if you're unable to wake from that dream, Neo? How would you? Sorry, I've been recently getting back into the Matrix and everything. But no, like, have you ever had a dream where you got something that you've wanted, whether it was like, I think when I was a kid, it was like a toy or something, or you finally met someone that you've wanted to meet or whatever, and then you start waking up from the dream, and
Mm.
you're like, no, 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 I just, and you're trying to hold on to whatever it is that you got. Have you ever experienced that?
I
Um,
not that I can remember. I'm trying to recall my dreams of recent times. But I mean that sort of lucid sort of state of
yeah,
you are realizing that you're waking up
yeah,
soon, but you are also sort of in the situation of the
yeah, yeah.
dream. I have that quite a
Okay.
lot.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. I'd be curious to, to know if anybody else listening has had a similar experience. But yeah, I've had that multiple times. Not so much recently because I'm like, asleep after after
Actually, yeah.
raising a baby with my wife. But No, and so I feel like the creative ideas are kind of it's similar. It's like comes down
Mm.
and you're like, oh, it's gonna go away. It's gonna go away, and I have to put it down
Yeah.
before it floats back into wherever it came from.
It it's so frustrating when you remember that you remember something, but you don't know what it was. Like tangibly, you
Mm.
don't remember what it was.
Hmm.
So like, let's
Hmm.
say you didn't write down that lyrics or that melody, right? So you know you had something like quite nice, and you can
Hmm.
work on it, but then you just don't
Yeah.
remember that. It's so frustrating. But I would say to me, there's two types of sort of idea generation.
Hmm.
One is definitely that, like I'm thinking and I generate something or it comes to me and
Hmm.
then I write it down and it becomes a memo of
Mm.
something that I can sort of use later on, such as like a move in a choreography.
Hmm. Hmm.
The other bucket of things
Hmm.
is when I am brainstorming and something is forming in my brain. Like
Yeah.
oh this like it formed so it crystallized so
Hmm.
well in my
Hmm.
head
Hmm.
that it doesn't go away. I
Mm.
have that too,
Hmm. Okay.
where I think about what is a good theme or what is a good sort of theme for my next performance,
Hmm.
and I think something gets formed and
Hmm.
I like the idea and it stays in my brain for a very long time.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
then that kind of stuff I don't have to write because I'm like, okay, I have generated this and it has
Right.
crystallized into like something
Into
and
an
it's very
idea.
solid. That's very
That's
solid for
connected
me.
to it's like a network of ideas, so it's very
Yeah.
stable. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because that reminded me of this like article. I'm gonna sound super snobby now, okay? It reminds me of an article I read in the New York
Yay.
in the New Yorker a couple of years ago by Malcolm Gladwell. Uh, it's actually true. He's great, but it was an article
It's
about
great.
he's it was an article about late bloomers,
Okay.
the idea of late bloomers, people who kind of achieve success, whatever in whatever avenue of creativity,
Mm.
much later in their lives, and it was kind of he used, I believe, it was Picasso and it wasn't Matisse, but it was
Mm.
some other artist, and he was talking about how Picasso he although he's like famous for his super abstract stuff, he was like a prodigy, right? Like when he was a kid he was able to paint the most hyper realistic oil paintings, so he
Oh.
almost had this like opposite, not a regression, but this opposite thing where he kind of
Ooh.
started breaking down the rules and
Right.
conventions, and that's why he ended up becoming famous for his
Yeah.
abstract stuff. But the reason why the article brought him up was because he was, from such a young age, able to envision exactly what he wanted to do and put it
Mm.
down and crystallize and
Mm.
put it down. And this other artist, it's going to drive me crazy, but there's a very famous painting that he did, and it's well known that there are multiple versions of that same painting that
Okay.
we all know the last final version of it, but apparently there in his studio there are versions of that where the canvases are slashed with knives, and just so many iterations after iteration of that same
Same.
exact painting. And
Oh, okay.
so the writer was using him as kind of an example of someone who the journey itself is the way towards the production of that
Mm.
impression,
Mm.
where he needed to go through all those iterations and all those canvases and get upset and slash the canvas and be like, and then finally arrive. Whereas Picasso was able to just go bing and,
Mm.
and write it down.
Wow.
And I think the thing that we were talking about earlier about these ideas kind of coming down and floating down is happening when we're trying different things, right? It's that kate of, you're trying different moves, or I'm like trying different melodies and different chord progressions, and then it's like, oh, boom. It's not like I'm going to sing these notes or
Mm.
I'm going to
Mm.
use
Mm.
these colors. I'm going to move my this shoulder and then this shoulder, right? But then what you were just saying now about this thing crystallizing sounds more like this more Picasso-esque way of creativity of just you're like, okay, I need to include this, and then it all
Yeah,
locks
yeah, yeah,
together. And that's
yeah,
amazing because it seems like you have both. You're able to do both.
yeah, yeah. I think it
すごい。
すごいクリスかっこいい
Yeah, yeah. Takuma がかっこいい。Takuma がかっこいい。
素
Uh,
敵結婚して Suddenly,
これがもう、
break
this is the
character.
high school ノリで
Yeah.
すね。Yeah, I think having both is like really special.
Yeah. And also I think it comes with some of these things. I think
Mm.
comes with practice as well,
Yeah, yeah.
like organizing thoughts and not parking thoughts into different places in my brain, but like
Mhm,
I don't know how to best explain it,
mhm.
but like just organizing my thoughts in
Mm,
different places
mm,
of my
mm, mm,
brain
mm.
and sort of connecting dots there. I think
Wow.
it it came with practice, and I
Mm,
think I can do it relatively well.
right.
Yeah,
That's
it's messy. I
yeah.
can't explain it. Like it's what's in my head is very messy, but to me that's very organized.
Right, right,
To
right,
me it's
right.
organized,
Yeah, I
and
wouldn't want to look inside your brain.
I
Yeah, for
me
sure.
neither.
Yeah,
Me
yeah,
neither.
yeah, yeah.
I can only visualize what's happening. Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be
It's
like
cool, and then
Jennifer.
I think juggle these things pretty well.
Sure.
Yeah.
It'll probably be like I'd be like Jennifer Lopez in the cell going into the brain.
Oh,
No one remembers that movie.
I love that
It's such
film.
a great, it's such an
So,
amazing, and costumes, right? Like the costumes are insane in that
did you know
movie.
it's a Japanese person who did the
I
costume?
think I think I looked into it once, and yeah, that
I
sounds familiar. Yeah,
can't remember her name, but yeah, she did the
yeah.
costume. Funny you bring that up because last year for Halloween, my partner and I did her costume, but in another movie
Oh,
called uh, the Dracula movie that she did the costume for.
okay.
Yeah, and then we made that particular costume that she made in the
We should,
movie.
there's this thing called the internet that I'm connected to, so
Ah, really? Okay.
I'm gonna just,
What is that?
it's it's called, it's mostly for pornography, but let's see.
Wow, I've never heard.
なんか言うてや。ツッコミが遅い。
Just wanted to keep you rolling
Yeah, it's like,
on this.
costume designer.
Eiko.
石岡英子.
Ah, yes, yes,
It
yes.
also says April Napier as well, but Eiko Ishioka.
Okay.
Yeah. She passed away in 2012.
Yeah, yeah, she did. Yeah, she made a lot of costumes that are elaborate, like the Cell. That's just the costume
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
The Dracula movie, she also did the costume for, and yeah,
Is it
many more. I don't.
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, amazing. Amazing stuff. See, it's all
Mhm.
connected. I was
Mhm.
comparing your mind to a serial killer, and I was, talking about going into your mind would be like that, and now it's like, oh yeah, costume design. It's all
Yeah,
connected.
it's all yeah, it's all there.
It's
どんな
interesting.
まとめ方やね。
いや、それが仕事やからさ、
あ、まあね。
まとめなあかんから、頑張
Yeah.
って。こyeah, yeah. So, what is that? The burger game? なんかなかったっけ？
What burger game? 知らん。
まあいいや。I was gonna ask you, uh, related to obviously to the drag stuff, but and it mentioned it in the ChatGPT intro how Singapore is world famous for being quite conservative, right?
Mm.
I mean, I'm not too aware of the cultural Well, it's famous for a lot of the laws, right, that
Yeah.
Singapore has, and no spitting or chewing gum or
Yep.
being fined for these things, and obviously super super strict on drugs, and I think alcohol is quite expensive.
Ugh,
It's heavily taxed.
very expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Um, but yeah, tell us a little bit about, because drag is, you don't imagine drag in that kind of environment, right? Of a conservative
Mm-hmm.
environment. But having said that, those things are kind of alive and kicking in
Yep.
communities that are conservative. Japan is the same. Uh, but yeah, what can you tell us about how the scene kind of fits into the rest of the culture?
Sure, sure. So Singapore is predominantly a very conservative country, as you
Mm,
mentioned, with many things, right? But I guess homosexuality, queer, uh, yeah, is something that's Singapore is quite strict on.
mm,
I think 2 years ago, the country finally repealed the law against same-sex act.
mm,
So it was illegal to be. We colloquially say that it was illegal to be gay until 2022.
mm.
Um, it wasn't like a enforced law, but it was still there in the books.
Right.
So 2 years ago they finally repealed that, which means it's no longer in the books. But
Wow.
having said that, I think nothing really changed in the
Hmm.
country where
Hmm.
you just see a lot of conservative people sort of being against LGBTQ community. And it's harsher for the
Mm,
minorities within that community, right? Like um Malays have it harder, trans people have it harder.
mm, mm, mm,
And within that sort of community, obviously the drag queen community sits. And then I should mention that drag queen community isn't isolated from, say, a trans community, right? Trans
mm,
community and Malay LGBT, sorry, trans community and the drag queen community can sort of intersect in a sense
mm,
that
mm, mm,
trans
mm.
queens can be drag queens as well. I'm
Sure.
just putting it out there. Um, it it is not an unsafe place to
Mm,
practice drag.
mm, 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 mm,
And with the abundance of drag queens and queer folks and the community that supports us,
mm,
it is relatively a safe place to get in drag and go out. But at the same time, there are incidents of drag queens getting like assaulted,
mm, mhm, mhm.
verbally and physically assaulted
Yeah.
in public, which made the news last year because it was one
Mm,
of like our friends sort of incident.
really.
So it is never we never take safety for granted. We
Mm,
never
mm,
take sort
mm,
of the comfort, the psychological comfort
mhm,
of gay bars and these shows and venues for granted.
mm,
Um, and then we also keep on fighting for what's right, which is getting an adequate pay and adequate recognition and adequate
mhm,
sort of respect for the art that we do.
mhm, mhm,
And this is kind of deviating from the country thing, but
mhm,
drag queens really do everything ourselves. Like if you think about like theater actress, right? Like
mhm,
if you go to any theater
mhm,
in any country, a singer comes or an actress comes and then somebody does her hair, somebody does her makeup, somebody does her costume.
mhm.
She gets into the costume helped by like multiple people, and then she gets on the stage and does her thing, and she gets celebrated for it. Great, right? Drag queens do everything. We do
Right.
our own hair, we do our costume, we get into the venue, we get into the costumes ourselves, we touch up our makeup, and then we go out and then we
Mm,
do this thing, and then we come back and we take off the wig and we take off our costume and we wipe off our makeup and then we leave the venue. We are doing multiple people's job,
sure.
and these venues and these organizers pay us so shittily,
Shittily. I like that. Yeah.
crappily, that it's not right. It's like we do multiple people's work and
Mhm.
we get paid like a penny for it because they
Sure.
think it's just easy and they think it's something that we like to do. Um,
But
so
getting
so that
sorry,
respect is, yeah.
but getting specific. just a couple of things, just playing devil's advocate though. In terms of what you were mentioning about a regular actress, on stage
Yeah.
actress. I mean, for someone to be in that position of, arriving at a place and having their makeup done and all, I mean, that's quite that's a quite high position,
Oh
right?
yeah,
In
sure.
terms
Yeah,
of a
absolutely.
career actress. Because what you were describing, minus a lot of the makeup, just sounded like a indie musician's life, you know,
Mm.
carrying
It's true. Yeah, that's
equipment,
true. Sorry, maybe that
and
comparison
said,
was
no, no,
in a different.
I understand that I think the point it sounds like that you're trying to make is that you are covering so many different jobs at the same
Yes.
time when
Yeah.
the people only see a sliver of that, which is the time you spend on stage entertaining people,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of work, not just making the costumes, but just the
Yeah.
just and I
Yeah.
can totally relate to that. And in addition to that, I was just wondering, so because I think about this a lot, not so much since my daughter was born because I haven't been playing a lot of shows. But you think about the capacity of the venue, and you think about what's the draw and what's the charge, and
Mm.
what's the and a lot of Japanese venues still have these just terrible joken. Uh, the uh, the English escapes me right now, but it's you get like 40% of the ticket price
Mm. Mhm.
after the first 20 tickets or something, something like that. Uh, and they take an extra 500 yen at the door for a drink, like a drink ticket, right? And you don't see
Uh-huh.
any of that drink
Right.
money. And
Right.
so,
Right.
it's essentially a pay to play situation in most venues for artists who that's why you don't see a huge indie scene in Japan. Unfortunately, it's not thriving. There are a lot of people,
Mm.
indie musicians, but it's not thriving because
Mm.
it's more designed for people who, I mean, and ticket costs are ridiculous for like an indie show, you know. So I try to find places that have really good deals, or that I know the people there directly, and we work
Uh,
out things there together and say, hey, so you can take all of the the drinks, but I want 60-70% of the door from the first ticket, and I guarantee
mm.
at least this many people, and if it's under
Wow.
that, just these things that kind of the unpleasantness, that the opposite of the creativity, right? The making deals and negotiation. But I just wanted to know what it's like for drag shows. Like, are you putting on your own events, or are you going through event organizers, promoters? What's the situation
Sure.
there?
Sure. Um. So very few drag queens in Singapore. I would say maybe two, three drag queens in
Yeah.
Singapore do organize their own events. Rest of us, like myself,
Mm-hmm.
are sort of performers, people who get hired by event
Mm-hmm.
organizers or drag queens themselves who do organizing events,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and then I would say there's one prominent drag show that is consistent weekly and is fair to drag queens
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
is respectable to drag queens.
Yeah.
The others are either a club event
Mm-hmm.
where we get hired as a performer, or actually, what else? Yeah, yeah, just usually club events, bar
Mm-hmm.
events, club events are like the
Mm-hmm.
majority of like how we get to perform.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so then sort of the organizers would sort of propose a rate,
Right. Right.
and then we either say yes or no, or we can talk about it. Um, I think as a community we have to stand for what's right, what's
Mm,
fair,
mm,
but it takes one hungry performer who wants to just perform to ruin it all because she might say, "Yeah, give me two tickets and I'll do it."
right.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
very far
yeah.
fetched, but
No,
like
I see.
your
I
pay
see
is
what you
two
mean,
two
though. Yeah,
tickets, and then
yeah,
it just sets that low standard
right,
for all of us, and I think
right.
that's not the right thing to do.
Yeah,
So I think but it's hard to talk about money, right, with people as well, right?
Sure,
You don't
sure,
know what
sure,
they're going through. You don't know how desperate they are for gigs in
sure,
different circumstances. So it's
sure.
hard to come together as a community. But I
Yeah.
think there is a sort of a loose sense of responsibility amongst
Mm,
many prominent drag queens here to say we should stand for what's right. We should get paid equally. We
mm,
should get paid on time.
mm,
Like
mm, 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 mm.
prominent example, a club event where they have like macho dancers
Mhm.
and they also have a drag queen. The macho dancers get paid more than the drag queens.
Mm.
They the macho dancers, they get on stage and I mean they're like mostly naked. They
Yeah,
dance
yeah,
for an extended period of time. We come out, we dance, we perform, we lip sync, and the dancers get more than us in
right.
many of these venues, and it's like, why? Like,
Mm.
one thing we put in more effort. I shan't discredit the effort of macho people, right, going to the gyms and everything, but we are
No,
performers.
but
I mean,
you're all there as performers, so I
yeah,
understand. I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, actually, I've been getting into that in the last 6 months. I've been performing at the macho bars, and yeah. So I'm sorry if I'm hurting your feelings by taking more of the cut of the pie than you, but yeah, that's just the way it is. It takes time and money to build these pecs, man. You know.
Where? Sorry, sorry. The connection's really bad. I can't. I'm just not hearing whatever you said just now. Sorry. You have to speak louder. Sorry. I just yeah.
I'm macho. No, but that's interesting that there's a hierarchy like that. Is there a known justification for the reason why they?
No.
Because there's more. What? But are these gay bars or are they just like?
Gay bars, gay clubs, or like event venues that lends their event places to gay event
Mm,
organizers. Um, yeah. So it's a variety of
mm,
places. Yeah.
okay, that's
But I mean,
interesting.
it is what it is, and I think
Mm, mm, mm,
some,
mm.
a lot of the drag queens do fight for what's right.
Mhm.
As soon as we find out, like, all these money talk is kind of hush hush, right? Like no one wants
Right.
to
Yeah.
talk about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's only when we find out that these things are like unequal, then we're like,
Mm,
what the hell? But
yeah.
yeah, it's hard to come by.
Yeah, those are I totally relate in the sense that, when you're saying what you're saying about maybe someone who's young and up and coming and who wants just
Yeah,
to perform
just
more
want
than,
exposure, right? Just want the
yeah.
practice,
And I
right?
mean, the music industry is, filled with
Mm.
every year. They just get younger and younger, you know. Uh but yeah, a lot of those places, a lot of those venues make money off of college kids
Right.
who are performing in these sakuru, the bando sakuru,
Yeah.
music clubs, band clubs, and so they can get the whole like class to come and
Yeah.
so it's really not about the quality of the entertainment. It's just how
It's just
many how
more like internal, right?
yeah,
It's like a circle jerk of circles.
circle jerk of circles. I'm gonna put
Circles.
that on a t-shirt. Yeah,
And sell it to the university kids, right? I mean, and make more money. Yeah. See
it's a
the finance
Venn
brain is
diagram of
working.
circle jerks. Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I guess every scene, every underground or independent scene or of
Yep.
any kind of creative endeavors is
Mm.
similar in that sense. So I get it.
And I think the word you mentioned, the
Hmm.
underground, like kind of really makes sense, right?
Hmm.
Like the the undergroundness of the art form
Hmm.
makes it susceptible to greedy people sort of taking advantage of it, because underground artists, let's just call it underground artists,
Hmm.
right, like artists that are not mainstream, want that exposure and want the recognition and want to make money out of it, and then wants that sort of same level of appreciation, perhaps, or at least some of us
Hmm.
wants the same level of appreciation and respect as the mainstream artists. So like when we get the chance to do certain things,
Mm,
we are hungry for it, and we say
sure.
yes to maybe some conditions, joke, and that
Hmm. Conditions,
isn't actually
especially.
fair.
Hmm.
But we say yes, it's an exposure.
Mm,
Okay, I'll do it. Like
yeah.
it's just once, but
Yeah.
it's setting up this precedents.
Hmm.
Yeah, for
Precedent. Yeah.
other organizers, the same organizers, to
Yeah.
keep taking advantage of it. Oh,
For sure.
you don't want 2 drink tickets for this gig? Okay, I know somebody who can do it.
Right. Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, like, and you feel shit about it, but then
Mm,
it's not right, right?
yeah.
To not get paid.
I think the antidote to that kind of greediness is to do what you're doing, it seems, and which is to keep consistently high quality, to keep producing high quality
Yep.
entertainment, and to differentiate yourself from
Mm.
those people uh, that are not necessarily bad people individually. It's just they're feeding a culture that's a little bit more, takes advantage of
Mm.
exactly what you're talking about. And so I think, what you're doing with your partner and really going out of your way to make these elaborate costumes and choreography and really differentiating yourself from the pack will, lead to lead to more supporters, fans, people who will come to your shows, and you'll be able to dictate more and more of
Yep.
those conditions
Mhm.
as you kind of as you blossom into a beautiful drag queen. There you go. There you go. That was
There
the
you go.
timing.
That was perfect. Yes, I was saving it for the last. Yes, it's here.
Yeah. Having said that, I still to this day, it's like I don't have any hard rules about what gigs that I accept. Uh, except I it's a case by case situation
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
really
yeah.
just weigh the situations, like, okay, how am I doing financial? How am I doing financially right now? Can I afford to stand up for? Can I afford to stand up for my beliefs? Or do I need to
Mm.
just kind of close my mouth and just take the gig and
Yeah.
make some money? Or is there any money involved? Or is this good for? And I generally I'm against the statement of, oh, it's good for exposure, because that's what
Mm.
social media is. That's
Yeah.
what TikTok is. And but at the same time, there are certain shows, or there are certain platforms that do allow you to reach people who may end up giving you more opportunities down the line that can finance
For
your
sure. For
your
sure.
art. So it's such a even after all these years, it's still like every gig or every opportunity, it's like, I just stop getting angry when people offer me shitty uh conditions. I used to, when I'm in my 20s, I used to just get like, because you're a ball of ego, right? I was just like,
Yeah.
how could they, put forth those conditions in front of I, like I was so offended, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
being
yeah.
offended is such a waste of fucking time
Right,
for
right.
everyone involved. And so now it's like, oh, hey, thanks, but I'm unfortunately busy. Or I
Mm.
just say it. I just say it. Oh, I don't work. I usually charge, more for that amount of time. So I thank you, because I had to separate the condition from the intention, and the intention for a lot of these
Mm.
people are they're interested in you. They're interested in
Yeah.
what you have to offer. Sometimes they're not, but oftentimes it's like, oh, you do this. Like, how about you do this with us? And it's just like, it's not worth 8 hours
Wow.
of my time for that amount of
Wow.
money,
But
and then it's like,
you
okay,
reached a certain level of sort of that Zen Nirvana state
I think
in a
it's like
performance shift. Yeah,
Adafoism maybe. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, just trying to. I mean, I don't do it 100% all the time, but trying to
Yeah.
be able. More often than not, I'm able to separate those two. I'll feel it. I'll feel it. I'll be like, oh, that, like, it's like, do you know how hard I've been working on at this for like 20 years. And it's like, okay, no, no, no. It's like, hey, so and so, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This
Yeah.
sounds like, and I'm genuine about it, right? It's like, this sounds like a fun event, but um, yeah, just 8 hours away from my family, uh,
Right. Right.
and from work, uh, a work day. Just the pay just doesn't justify
Wow.
the time commitment. So thank you, and then add at the end, but keep me in mind, for
Mhm.
anything in the future. I'm always open to negotiate and discuss. And
Wow.
usually by the time I finish saying that, or by the time I finish typing that out, I feel better that like that guy is gone.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that's a very positive way of sort of deflecting sort of that sort of nasty side of sort of that gig offers and money
Mm,
talk, right? Like, cause it's all, yeah, as you said, it's very like
mm,
this
mm,
you know,
mm.
but actually sort of thanking for the opportunity and sort of deflecting it in a most polite way,
Yeah.
and if you keep on being positive about it, like just in that sort of text, at least it does calm you a little bit, I'm sure,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
you are not burning bridges at that
sure,
point.
that, and also it's just I've burned a lot of bridges, so I'm able to come to this. Been able to come to this type of, yeah, style of interaction, but it's just ego in the end, right? It's like, I put in so much work for this, and you have no, like, how can you not know that I've been putting so much? But of course, no one knows.
No one
No one knows
knows.
what anyone's up to. And so you have to kind of, yeah, like you said, deflect or switch. Be like, wait, this
Yeah.
person has, like, I'm the only one. My wife doesn't even know. Even my best friends don't know. Even my dog doesn't know. It's like, I'm the only one who knows every second of everything that has led to this moment. I mean, not like clear memory, but like all the
Yes.
trials and tribulations and
Yeah.
over the years of doing different things. And so you can't expect someone to even know 1% of everything that you've
Mm.
been through. Uh, but I don't
And
know.
social
Yeah.
media makes it so easy, right? So social media makes it so easy for people to assume that things are easy. Like,
Hmm.
I try to make videos like reels that shows the process
Mm.
of how we made something, or like how we got ready for something. And the video can't be 8 hours, right? The video has to be like 60 seconds, 30 seconds,
Oh,
2 minutes
8 hours
at
of you
most.
making a Halloween costume.
Because
I'd watch it.
like no cuts,
No editing.
no editing, just me making it.
You're like eating lunch, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
the
yeah.
camera's on.
Like,
Yeah.
even that, like, I
Yeah.
think it just makes things look so easy, because
Sure.
the video is like 20 seconds and I have an outfit, or like I went to this gig, and as much as you want to show the process and show how hard it is, it just
Hmm.
social media makes it, or these videos makes it much more easier than
Hmm.
how it is. And I think that gives a false narrative as to how easy of a life it is,
Oh yeah.
for the creatives, right? Going
Oh
back to the
yeah.
whole creative person, not creative person,
Sure.
it's not
Sure.
easy for creative people as
Sure.
well, because it
Sure.
takes effort and time and the mental capacity to even come up with the idea to begin with.
For sure. It's so, it's interesting. Every person, I mean, you're still only number three, bronze, but every episode we get into discussion about social media.
Oh,
I
really?
think it's around people so far all around the same age, in their 30s,
Yeah.
kind of reevaluating their relationship, or having reevaluated their relationship with social media, because now we're not the Zanga. We're the Zanga generation, right? We're the Zanga or Zanga or Live Journal, or whichever was your cup of tea.
I thought you were trying to pronounce Gen Z, and I'm like, what?
No,
You're trying to say Zanga?
Zanga.com or Zanga or whichever.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
god.
throwback. Yeah.
We
I
are
mean,
the Dragon
we're
generation.
Friendster generations, generation.
Fucking hell.
MySpace, Uh, so we're seeing the
Good.
evolution of social media,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we're
Oh
like
yeah.
finally we're at a place where like we're not participate. We're there are younger people who are participating in the new iterations of social media, and so we're kind of reevaluating things, and it's always
Ah,
interesting to hear person's take on social media. And oftentimes I know for a fact that my first guest Ross and then my second guest Annie, they both took time off, like a long time off from social
ooh,
media. Yeah,
really?
and I was wondering if you've had any. Have you done that? I have too.
You have
Yeah,
to?
I have. Yeah,
Oh, you have?
yeah.
Like how long?
Uh,
2 hours. I'm kidding.
it felt like 2 hours. It was like 2 minutes. No, I think it was about 2 years. Yeah, during
Oh
the
my god, that's so
during
much longer than I thought.
during COVID. I mean, I was on it and looking, but like I
Okay.
wasn't actively posting or I wasn't active. It was like I've also
Oh.
done the cold turkey delete the apps off my phone type situation as well.
Oh my
Uh,
god, that's brave of you. That
no,
is brave.
I have poor impulse control. I'm always trying to control
True,
this beast inside.
true,
This
true,
beast
true.
this
It,
beast who ate fujisoba the other night, you know, curry and soba at like 1 in the morning, and then ate a 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven
oh,
shitty burrito right after that,
oh,
after drinking by myself for the first time in a while.
oh
Uh,
my god.
so that's what I'm
Looks
dealing
like
with.
you haven't really practiced your self-control. Like, I mean, let's just say that.
You know
It's not
what?
there.
You know what? But I, it's good to be reminded that I have that guy. I have that
Ah,
thing
okay.
inside,
Okay. Okay.
because I sometimes forget. Lately, it's been easy, to kind of not indulge in that side, but it's
Mm,
good to be
mm, mm.
reminded of what's there, the
Okay.
beast within. But
The
anyway, sorry,
beast.
I digress. Have you ever
I
taken
have
any
not.
time off?
No, no. If anything, my social media usage, specifically around sort of what is trending, what video should I make, has grown exponentially. Like up until the time that I started doing drag, it was just my own account,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
account, right? Now I
Mm-mm-mm.
have two accounts, my own, my normal self account and the joint drag account,
Wait, I
right?
don't even
On
follow that,
That's horrible.
huh?
How dare you call me here
I know. I'm
as a
like
third
interviewing
guest?
you about. I didn't know. What?
How, how dare you? How
That's
dare you?
that's
You
actually
and you
quite.
dare to call me awesome.
If
That's
you
just
weren't my awesome friend, I would you would not be on this podcast ever again. Um, what? What's the handle?
So my drag handle on IG
hmm
is House of Haut Mess. House as in a regular house. Of is
House
of.
of like
It's all one
H.
word.
Uh-huh.
Haute is yeah, haute couture. Haute
Right, right.
HAUT.
Oh my God.
Mess as in you.
I even knew that was like your handle, and for some reason
Wow.
oh wait, no, I was following it.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it was there. Yeah.
You're awesome then.
Yeah.
You're lovely. You're
What can I
lovely.
say? I
Yeah.
do my homework. Uh yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think so,
go on.
so what I'm trying to get at is
Yeah.
me looking I think now I am looking more at social media at least
hmm
partial of my time I am looking at social media. I am on social media to see what I can create. So it's
Sure.
more of a creative exploration
Sure.
of it, and the line gets blurred, right?
hmm
As and when I go and then I start sort of diverting into just looking at social media as in general.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
oftentimes I look at things and I think to myself, okay, is this a video that I can recreate from my own account, or is this a trend that I can
Mm.
recreate from my own
So
account?
it's a
So
research device. It's like
it's a research.
yeah, yeah.
It's a research.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So
research.
so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely increased.
hmm
I have
hmm
TikTok as well. Crazy, right? Like I'm on TikTok.
I, I'm on TikTok, bro. Hey, bro, I have a blue check mark on TikTok, so
No! Ah! Ah! Okay. Okay. All right.
that was the. I'll keep it short, but the reason why I have nothing on it right now because I deleted everything because I'm trying to rebrand it with the podcast and everything. But
Okay.
uh, the reason why I had it was because I participated in this event with TikTok Japan several years ago, and I was dealing with TikTok for
Yes.
work, and they gave me a blue check mark. And what's
Wow.
funny is that I've had multiple people message me to offer to buy the account because it's such a quick it was blowing my mind back then, and it still blows my mind now. Like some person offered me $5,000 US
What?
for the account. I mean, that's not,
What?
in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but for someone to,
Still,
it's just a
it's
little blue,
it's a
so
little check mark in a little app that is not real. Well, for a lot of people it's real, and
yeah,
for a lot of people it's lucrative, and it is a real thing, but
yeah.
it's digital. It's a
It's
digital thing.
it is
Shit.
digital. It has three syllables.
Crazy. 5K. Wow.
Yeah, it's
And you sold it obviously because you need them.
oh yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, fine.
Oh
No,
my
I
god.
didn't not so much because of the money, but just because I got it through, work and I don't want to
Yeah,
be shady,
of course, of course.
selling blue check marks on the black market, that's not that's not how hey, you're looking for a TikTok blue check mark? But can't you I think on Instagram you can buy them now, right?
You can buy
And
them now.
and
Yeah,
on
you can buy them.
TikTok, can you buy them or is it still like is it
I
a
don't know. I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't know. It's crazy because I mean with
Wow.
views too, right? You can followers and views you can buy as well. I mean,
Yeah, the
it's
bots. Yeah,
it's that yeah that it's getting
it's
very
crazy. It's
strange.
crazy. Yeah.
But
And
sorry,
then no, no, no. Like
yeah,
just saying to have come from a time without a phone, with a phone, with internet, with Facebook, Zanga first, and then Facebook, and Instagram, and then
yeah,
now TikTok, and then we have to somehow befriend these things to a
mm,
certain extent, or
hmm,
I feel like we have to befriend
sure,
it because
sure,
if we don't put it out, it's not there, right?
sure,
If I didn't put it out, AI wouldn't have known that I'm a drag queen. AI would not have known that I'm a drag queen if I did not post all this.
sure. That's true.
That's the most prominent thing that the AI chat GPT has talked about me,
Hmm.
and it will not exist if I hadn't put it on, which is like bonkers.
Well, and also this podcast, we spent a great deal of time talking about drag, and it's we're piling on top of your
Yep,
online
the
persona. There's
algorithm.
this
Yeah.
whole other side to you. That I mean, I know you love takoyaki and that you're in the takoyaki business, and that you're a part-time figure
Stop!
skater, and
Stop
you
leaking
know,
my personal information online on the interweb, please. Nobody can know that I'm
no
a
one can know
takoyaki
about the
business owner.
octopus balls. You
No,
know.
not on the interweb. Cut the cameras.
Yeah, it's so I reevaluated my relationship with social media, and
Yeah.
it came after the COVID years where I I did a lot of I read more books than I had ever read in my life. In my whole entire
Wow.
life, I read,
Wow.
during that time. And yeah, cause so I read books, so I'm smart. Um, but no, but it did, open a lot of different avenues of thought,
Yeah.
and something that I really gravitated towards was actually Zen Buddhism, and just Buddhism in general, just as a practice, right? Not so much as a spirituality, but as a practice because it's more of a philosophy than a religion, and so I thought a lot about looked at ego and the persona that I had built, not just through social media, but the persona that we all build, right, through our lives, because we are who we are through other people's eyes. we exist only through other people's eyes. And in a sense, social media is an extension of that, where we exist through other people's eyes, but we have even more control over how we present ourselves to other people's eyes. And so I thought, the whole the Zen Buddhism thing is, well, you have to let go of all of that. You have to,
Mm.
you can't, you have to let go of ego. You have to let go of the desire. And I tried that, and I think I got to a certain point where I really didn't need it in my life. But then, what I realized is my passion is to engage with people, hence this, and uh, engage with people through music, and kind of empathizing with people, getting a group of people and feeling the same emotion, or guiding people through different types of emotion, as performers like yourself do as well. And that takes it doesn't necessarily take ego, but it takes I don't think Zen Buddhism is the way for to be an entertainer, at least as far as I researched. So I kind of let go of that, because everything is, you can get too into
Yeah,
anything, right? Um, you can get
as long as you
too
have the. Sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, I was gonna say you can get too into nothingness as well. So, uh, yeah, and then what I came out of that, and my perspective is very different now, where I see Kris Roche as a product under this umbrella of this thought experiment that I'm doing, which is Little Slugger Music, which is
Mm.
hopefully going to become a company in the near future. But it's a product under the umbrella of this company, yet to be
Mm.
company. And
Okay.
okay, so if there's Nike and they have their, you know, whatever their newest line of shoes are, I don't know anything about shoes. How do you promote this shoe over this other shoe? You know?
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, how do I look at Kris Roche as a product? Okay, well, this and this. I won't get into the details, but I was able to, again, remove myself from the persona that I've built.
Okay.
Right, so I'm able to look at, oh, okay, this is how people engage with this product. This singer songwriter who lives in Shimokitazawa, who
Mm.
writes these songs. Okay, so I'll make products through that persona, because
Oh
obviously
wow.
I'm interested in doing a lot of different other, I mean, things like this as well. And
Wow.
yeah, so but it was really clean for me that way. Obviously, I care about the thing. I put a lot of care into the things that I make, and I care about what if people enjoy, the products. But it's not really. Uh, it's not like, oh, here's my heart, guys.
Right. It's
Here's my
not
heart.
raw. It's
Yeah,
not raw product. It's a refined product of
it ethically
your.
sourced emotions.
It's a
Includes organic emotions.
may contain.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
So that's
That's a
how I've
very
been kind of looking
interesting.
at it. Yeah,
Wow. 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 But all of it is sort of reflection or a portion of yourself, right? Because
sure.
you are you are who you are and you are producing it. Obviously, it's your product. It's just that it's refined in a way that matches and caters to the channels that you have.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I look at it that way, it's not. I'm not a slave to that persona anymore.
You're like running your own company. You like as you said, like you are a figuratively running a company, an organization with multiple sort of outlets and
Sure,
sort of you're still
sure.
in control. You're still
You
sort
sound
of.
like ChatGPT. You're making me sound so much cooler than I actually am. Uh, But yeah, in essence, it's something close to that. I'm obviously like you were saying, sometimes the lines get blurred, obviously,
Mm.
because you're like, I'm doing research, and then you're like looking at
Oh.
panini recipes, and you're like, Uh, so same with
Exactly.
me as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, did that video? I wonder if that video is doing good. Like I'll get into that headspace sometimes as well. But uh, yeah, it's but completely different approach to when I was in my 20s, where it's like this is me digitized, and I'm totally attached. It's an extension of myself. That was really
Uh,
strong in me. But
wow. Okay. Okay.
have you ever felt that way, or did you always have like a pretty good healthy distance
Wow.
from that persona,
Oh,
from
that's
your
a good
digital
question.
persona?
I never thought of it that way. That's a really, really good question. But I would say the social media, sort of the effect of social media on gay, queer um, self has, I think, been quite. I think it's a bit more strong. It's
Mm,
stronger than if I was a straight person, right? I don't think. How do I put this in nicer words? So basically, I think if you're gay and if you're growing up with social media, there is a
hmm
lot of pressure to be of a certain kind, be of a
hmm
certain sort of physique, be of a certain lifestyle. There is,
mm,
and I think being in Singapore, I think accentuates that
hmm
because Singapore's, a country full of rich people
hmm
and
hmm
they get to travel around the world and they often get on like business class and they are like doing all these fancy things and they're in shape and they're still working and it's like everybody paints a perfect life.
mm,
And I think growing up in my 20s, well, having having that teenage years in Japan and sort of being comfortable with
hmm
myself eventually, I think helped
hmm
me with it. But still, I think in my 20s, I think it's not that I struggled. I didn't really struggle, but I think there was a lot of influence of that kind of image of
mm,
Southeast Asian gays who are affluent and is projecting that all on social media
hmm
has trained me to be stronger
hmm
mentally
hmm
in
right.
that. So I think then when I sort of eventually found drag and found the outlet to be proud of what I am in what I produce on social media, I think
hmm
I became very, very comfortable in the image that is there, right?
mm,
There's one
mm,
account with me being silly and me posting whatever, and I'm okay with it.
mm,
And there's another account, House of Haut Mess, which I produce. I project, the best version of what drag can be, and
mm,
fun,
hmm
sometimes
hmm
funny, but sometimes sophisticated, and a lot of times like just everything that we work on.
right.
Having that duality of it, and also being stronger from the experience I have in my 20s
Mm,
with
mm,
the
mm,
the,
mm,
the environment that we're in, I think
mm,
made me feel okay about what's out there versus who I
mm,
am, and
hmm
there can be differences, there can be similarities, and I'm okay with it. I think.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, not all the time, right? Of
Yeah.
course, I look at somebody who might be younger than me and going to all these places in their nice business class, and I'm like, like where did I go wrong? But that's like there is a little bit of me thinking, where did I go
Yeah, yeah,
wrong?
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
at the end of the day, I come back to myself, and you know what? That's
Sure,
that's not the goal, right? That shouldn't
sure,
be the
sure, sure.
goal, and I'm stronger than that.
But the
Not
pain,
all everybody, right? Everybody, not everybody is as strong as I could be or I project to be, right?
yeah,
So I can understand why social media is really
yeah,
harmful to people and is mentally
right.
draining for some of the people looking at the same thing.
No, for sure. It's a powerful, powerful tool. It's powerful. And people relate to it and deal with it in different ways. And
Yeah,
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 like you said, I think for some people it's a lot more damaging than others. Uh, I mean, there's so much literature about
yeah,
that out
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but uh, what you're saying about people projecting these Southeast Asian gay affluent gay community,
yeah.
uh, posts, which I kind of see through your posts, right? Or at one point I did, a lot of boat parties
Maybe that's when
themes.
I was, just trying to do the same thing. It's true. It's no, I'm being vulnerable here. I
Yeah.
think at one point before I got together with my partner
Mm.
now, I was part of that circle as
Mm,
well. Like
mm,
I
mm,
was
mm, mm.
really part of the older gays in Singapore who are traveling and going all these places and partying and buying drinks and buying bottles. I was really part of that group as well, like at
Yeah.
one point. So I was living that life and yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun. It was
The
fun.
bling
And
bling, the bling bling life, right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
just around the time when like Crazy Rich Asian, well, kind of before, but like when around the time when Crazy Rich Asian was like at its peak, right? So it's
Yeah.
really
You were being a crazy rich Asian.
yeah. Except I'm not that rich, so
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's the
Right. You're
difference.
being a crazy Asian then.
I'm just a crazy Asian. Yeah, I'm just a crazy Asian.
No, but what you were saying, that I don't think that's limited to just that community. I think that, it is a place, we talked about it earlier, but it is a place where people curate their lives and edit their lives and put a soundtrack to their lives, all to highlight and accentuate good things and bad things. And it's, so yeah, I mean, sometimes the dark corners of Instagram Reels and TikTok, I've found a series of girls on, I think it was TikTok,
Mm,
where they live in, they're hoarders. They're young girls who are hoarders.
okay.
Yeah, and uh, they're they they take videos of themselves from inside their apartment, their small apartments filled with garbage, and there's just like literally cockroaches. Like you can see them
Oh,
walking around everywhere.
is that the one that she's like cooking dinner
Yes,
while she's filming herself and like in
yes,
a
you've seen it.
oh I watched it. I watched it before. Yeah,
And she
I
calls
watched.
the cockroaches G's, like gokiburi, G. And then like when there's baby cockroaches, calls them baby G, like baby G. I mean, hey, live your own life, but like I found out that that's a series.
yeah.
There are multiple people who are doing the same thing, who are filming their lives from. I mean, it's very sad, right? At the end of the day, it's super sad, and you know, I wouldn't want to be Jennifer Lopez in that situation, uh, but it's like a mental health issue,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're broadcast, but where everybody has a video camera and a channel now to broadcast
Mm.
whatever they want to broadcast, and sometimes people broadcast mental health issues like unfiltered, you know, and
I
why
think
did
that's another
yeah
thing. Like, I mean, we can get on this topic
yeah yeah
forever,
yeah
but anything can be a content nowadays.
mm,
Anything can be a content. If
yeah.
you're blind, that can be a content. If you're living in a hoarder's house and cockroaches flying around, that can be a content. If you're
I mean, even this
sleeping, that
podcast,
can be a
like
content.
this is like gonna be content, like
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. What is this? Just two guys talking shit about random that can be a content. Like
yeah, yeah,
seriously,
yeah,
anything can be a content. Somebody's
yeah.
gonna well, no, but the positive thing
My
is that
grandma
somebody's gonna
will,
enjoy
my
it.
grandma will like it, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
One views.
yeah.
Like that's all it takes. That's all it takes to appreciate.
I've detached
You know,
myself, emotionally from this product. It doesn't matter if it's one or a million views. I'm so zen about it.
it's the same. It's the same. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said, we could really dive into this, but
Yeah.
maybe we can save that for another time.
Mm.
But yeah, I think we've been ちょっと盛り上がって we've been talking for a while.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of ask you as we wind down about any kind of uh, future shows or future projects. It doesn't not drag exclusively drag, but some plans, whether it's a social media content or
Wow.
do you have anything that's coming down the pipeline?
Wow. So this is where you get to like, I don't know, click on the link below. Yes,
Oh no,
then
I
I
won't link
know.
your stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
don't worry.
Like the video here
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You can
exactly,
click on this.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know when this video comes. I don't know when this video comes out.
yeah.
So if it's
It's 3 years.
Halloween, well,
It's
by the
actually
time
a
you're watching this video, we
yeah,
died,
yeah. It's
and
actually a time capsule project. No,
funny. Oh my
yeah.
god, it's funny because no one watches this, and it's really like a time capsule. It's
No, pretty
it's it's
much. Yeah,
true. It's
it's
true.
just
Yeah, your grandmother.
it
Sorry,
doesn't
besides
make a
your.
difference whether we dig it and put it in the ground or we put it on YouTube. It's like 0 views. Yeah, that should be the podcast name. It should just be called Time Capsule.
Time capsule,
Yeah,
zero
the
views.
podcast. Yeah.
So yeah, so working hard on Halloween stuff
Mm,
now. So this weekend, like the 26th of October is
hmm.
like generally considered as the Halloween weekend, right? So I have a couple of shows coming up for
Right.
that. So we're trying to make
Great.
some things for that. Um and then I like to take mental breaks.
Hmm.
We like to take mental breaks after a sort of series of shows or
Mm,
series of like creative sort of output.
yeah,
So
important.
yeah, really important. So probably November, December, not gonna do anything
Mm,
much crazy. And see where the year takes on next
mm,
year. Nothing really planned. I think we just take gigs and take opportunities as we come, but we're always brainstorming, so we'll eventually put out something that is creatively charged. But once Halloween's over, I think we'll take a mental break. Also, it's good for skin as well. I think makeup really ruins your skin. So, that like
totally.
physically, I need to.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, you can relate, right? All that, yeah.
Well, not gonna
Layers.
lie, I've started.
Oh, wait, but that's not makeup. That's
No, no,
like
it's but
skincare.
skincare. Yeah, skincare.
Skincare.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Are you telling me that you have not used skincare until recently?
No, that would be a lie. It's the one thing, if I would have studied, if I would have kept, another thing up for a long time, as long as I've been doing skincare, I would have been a lot more successful at, I don't know. Yeah. But no, yeah,
Yeah, you could have been a skincare guru. Yeah,
that's true.
skincare YouTuber. Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's been an ongoing thing for a while.
that's
But yes.
another channel of you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
no,
another.
I'm gonna start. It's like slow motion videos of like me going like, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh my God.
are you coming to Japan anytime soon?
Next year, probably
Hmm.
next year. Yeah, I will make a trip up, I guess. Back to Japan in in spring, summertime, I think, next
Nice.
year. Yeah,
Nice.
that's what I'm planning to do. Like I try to visit once a year,
Mm,
especially after COVID. No,
yeah.
sorry, before COVID definitely, but try to do the same after
Mm.
COVID as well. But yeah,
It'll
I'll
be
be there in less than 1 year for sure.
right. It'll be good
Oh, and
to
I want to do Halloween in Japan again. I haven't done that in a while.
yeah. Well,
I
the
haven't done
whole
that in a while.
Shibuya
Yeah.
situation's gotten very
It got
organized
kind
and
of.
yeah, it there's a lot of control. It's, I think
Mm-hmm.
still it's not as crazy as it used to be. I
Yeah,
don't think. Not that I was out there every year either, but
I
yeah, I
heard.
think
Yeah.
it might be a little bit more subdued than
Oh, but I
before.
mean, even a fraction of what it used to be back in Japan for Halloween, I think it would be still fun.
Sure, 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 sure.
And I think 3 years in a row we've been taking like big Halloween gigs here in Singapore
Mm-hmm.
and doing. Okay, so like maybe just to
Mm-hmm.
quickly elaborate. We've been doing a photo shoot, like a professional photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We take gigs for Halloween. And then we, obviously for those we make our own stuff. So it's been like a pressure cooker of like just getting things for the photo shoot, taking the photo shoot, and then
Mm,
doing the gig and getting ready for the gig. It's a really really pressurized time for us
mhm,
for the
mhm,
last 3 years, and this year certainly as well. Um, so I've been always saying let's do the photo shoot because we like that. Like we like to memorialize,
Hmm.
what we made and what we worked on. But we've been always saying, why don't we travel 1 year
Mm,
out of Singapore so we don't have to take the gigs, or we don't take the gigs. That's a very
mhm,
braggy way of saying. So I
mhm.
rephrase: we don't take the gigs,
Yeah.
and we enjoy Halloween somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like next year I want to do that,
Hmm.
and the only place I can think of is Japan. So maybe that might
That'd be
be.
great. Well, if you
Yeah.
do end up coming, how about, I'll go as you and you go as me. It would be the most iconic Halloween costume.
Yeah, and I'll have my friends are awesome panel.
Hey, the
Yeah.
t-shirts are coming and you're gonna want one, and I'm not gonna give it to you because you just made fun
Oh my
of
god.
my podcast.
I'll make my own T-shirt that
Okay.
says "Natake." Natake. What was
Fuck
that
me, I'm
Venn diagram
famous.
thing? No, oh my god, I still have that T-shirt. By the way, it's still in my closet.
That's
Never threw it
amazing.
away.
We'll get into that "Fuck Me, I'm Famous" t-shirt in
In
another
another
episode.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for taking the time, even on your you should be prepping for Halloween, but thank you
Yeah.
for
Have
taking the time.
stonings to
Ooh,
do.
ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. Stonings, which it's another thing.
Oh,
So
sorry. I have to put stones on my, yeah. Many definitions of stoning, but yeah. No, no, not this. Yeah.
yeah. Great. Takuma, thank you so much. Can you, you know, I like to do some muchaburi with you. So can you just give us a parting one word that summarizes your whole life up until now? Just one word, and you can't think about it. You have to say it now.
Drama. That's the only word that came into my mind.
I think that's perfect. That's a
I think that's perfect.
perfect
I
place
think
to
it's
end it.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.